Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another really fun project with our Michael's Winter Workshop. My name is Courtney Beach. I work at Michael's as the in-store class specialist, but today I'm working online to show you this really cute watercolor resist snowflake. So we're going to be working with some watercolors and some different things. We're really excited. This is a project that says it's for anybody that's 4 and older. You may need to have, if you're a little bit younger, you may need to have an adult nearby just to kind of help you with some of the different things. But we're here, we're ready to get started. So we're going to switch to the overhead camera and we are going to have a good time. So first, let's go over all the supplies that we need today. So we are going to make sure that we have printed the stencil that you need. You'll be able to download this from the website. So this is going to be the snowflake. You also are going to make sure that you have the Kids Paint Pad by Creatology. This does come with 20 sheets. I've just pulled one sheet out for today for us to do our snowflake off of. A couple of other things, obviously, because we're doing watercolors, you're going to need the watercolor set. This one is by Creatology. It has all the colors you can possibly need. This is a really great watercolor set, and it's going to last you a long time. So we suggest this one, but any watercolor set would do, as well as the paint brushes. This is a 6-piece, so it has 6 different watercolor brushes. These 2 are the ones that I probably will focus on today, but I may pull a couple of the other ones out, but you can use it for all different things. In fact, we have 11 other projects during the winter workshop this year, and a couple of the other ones, you can use these paintbrushes as well. So it's a really great investment. You'll need crayons. We do think Crayola works best. I went ahead and pulled out my blue and my purple because I think those are going to be the 2 colors that I'm going to pretty much focus on for my snowflake today. So I went ahead and pulled out the blue and purple, but I'm going to go ahead and keep the other ones here just in case. Some scissors to cut out your snowflake at the very end. So we're going to have our scissors. I pulled out some colored pencils. So as you were tracing your stencil, you can use these. You can use a regular pencil, you can use a pen, you can use a marker, you can use just about any tool. It doesn't even have to write. So if you wanted to use the back of a knife or a spoon or anything like that, in fact, you could use the back of your paintbrushes if you wanted to use as well, because essentially we're going to be doing a marking with those. But I went ahead and pulled a couple of colored pencils so that way I could see what I have drawn over with my stencil. And then I also have a little cup of water here to be able to do all of my, my painting with. So with that, we're going to get started on our watercolor resist snowflake. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take the stencil. This is what it looks like once again, and you are going to want to turn it over. So I went ahead and got a little piece of paper. So this is a little placemat for me to use so I can make sure I can see through it. So I don't know if you can see it from up there, just barely. You can see the stencil all the way through. So what we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to use the crayon and we're going to color over every bit. So we're going to start over here and you want to color kind of hard. And we're going to color every single bit of that stencil. Now, just for fun, because I am doing a blue and purple snowflake, today I'm going to mix my colors a little bit. So when we do press it on the other side, we have a little bit of both. This is a really great time for you to get creative. This is the really fun thing if you ever wanted to get a little brother or sister or someone in here to help you color and scribble all over this. This is really great for them to do as well. Just a really fun time just to color and give everyone a time to truly scribble. Back to purple. I was thinking cold colors today, so that is why we are using purples and blues. I did another one the other day, and I will actually show it to you later, that I actually did it with oranges and reds and yellows, and it's a little fiery snowflake. So there is absolutely nothing that says that you need to do exactly what we do or just do something that you think is right, you cannot mess up with art. Art is all about your interpretation. And just because that we normally think that snowflakes are cold doesn't mean with art that it has to be something different. So now that I have everything colored and nice and thick, and you cannot see any lines of that stencil anymore, we're going to turn it over. Before we start tracing, we are going to lay down one of the sheets from that paint pad. And as you can see now, just barely through it, you can see the crayon. So a couple of fun tips for this part right here. You may want to use a paper clip or a clothespin or a piece of tape and tape some of the stencil onto your paper. So as you are tracing, it doesn't move around. Those are some helpful things that you can do at this point. I'm just going to hold it very, very carefully. And I'm going to start with my orange colored pencil. Now, the reason I went ahead and brought a second colored pencil is because you do have to press kind of hard. And it's very, very possible that as I am doing this, that my colored pencil may break. And that's absolutely fine. You can either resharpen it right there, or you can switch colors, or like I said, even switch to the back of your paintbrush. But you are going to want to press really hard all along the design. So the design is pretty big. And if you need to take breaks or get some help, that's fine too. My favorite color is orange. So I will find any reason to add a little bit of orange into all of my projects. Even though this is winter workshop, I still will find a little bit of fun to use my orange. So maybe that's what you want to do. Maybe you want to use one of your favorite colors, or maybe you have a favorite pencil that has some really neat designs on it. Anything is possible with projects like these. So once again, it doesn't have to be perfect. No two snowflakes are alike. So the expectation is not that your snowflake needs to match my snowflake. The expectation is just that at the end, you have a snowflake. This one has a really cool star in the middle of it. So we're going to trace over that star. Once again, I am pressing really hard. So that's why a piece of tape or something else holding this in place is really, really helpful. Now, if you're following along with me right now, you'll probably start to notice that your hands start to get a little sore because you are having to press so hard to make sure that we are transferring over. So feel free to take a break. You can pause the video, go get a drink of water, stretch your fingers, all kinds of things to make sure that you have the energy to finish your project. So we're just about halfway done with this part. This same stencil can be used over and over. I would suggest if you wanted to do it that way, if you were doing something like a color, that the second or third time that you did it, you would just switch colors so that you knew every single time what color you were doing. So if you only have one copy and you have brothers or sisters or friends or cousins or anybody that wants to do a snowflake as well, you can use the same one. This is also a fun project for adults. I have had a great time creating my snowflakes. So grown-ups love projects too. And there is nothing saying that we can't have fun with a project like this. So as we're getting close to being finished tracing our design, I'm going to give you a little bit of what to expect. So what this is doing is the wax that is in the crayon has a really great texture that will transfer over to the paper underneath. So after we've done it and after we've lifted this up, what we should see is a perfect stencil of our snowflake. Now, it's very possible that your etching of your snowflake is not super dark. And if that's the point, it is absolutely fine to come in with your crayon. You can use matching ones to the ones that you colored with or a different color and trace over that and thicken up those crayon lines a little bit. That will help you with the water resist part of the watercolor project. So we are all traced. We are orange all over our snowflake. So let's see what it did. Looky there. So there's our colors and there is our traced snowflake. So this is a super fun project just like this. If you wanted to finish it just like this, you absolutely could. You could also go and find a coloring book if you wanted to. Use a princess or a superhero. You could trace them onto your pad as well using that. And then you could always watercolor them in or color them in as well. So this technique can be used for all different things. But for this one, you can see my blues and my purples and all the different things for my watercolor. Now we are going to pull out our watercolor kit and we're going to start making some of these colors. Now, with watercolors, if you've never done them before, the best thing to do is to get a little water on your brush and pick your color you're going to start with. Now, we talked earlier that I was going to be sticking with the blues and purples. So that's these over here. So we have the light blues and the dark blues and all the different purples. And I think I want to start with these parts of the snowflake. So I think I'm going to start with the lightest purple. And I'm going to start mixing. So you'll start to see the color coming up a little bit. If you're using a placemat or something underneath and you want to test and see what that color is going to look like, you can do that. But I am going to start with the very tips. And I'm just going to start filling in. Now, the cool thing about the crayon is it's going to help keep some of this watercolor in the lines. So although I am being careful, it is going to help you keep those. Now, like I said before, if you wanted to retrace over some of that crayon and make it even thicker so it stays in the lines even better, you can absolutely do that. You can make it a really, really nice dark base if you would like. So the tips are going to be this lighter purple. So I think the inside should be a darker purple. So because I'm going from purple to purple, I'm just going to rinse, but it doesn't need to be too crazy. And I'm going to go to this one down here. This one's kind of more of a violet, a little bit darker. I'm going to get it nice and mixed up. Make sure the paint is ready to go. And I'm just going to start filling in this part as well. So as you can see, as I'm doing this, can you just barely see how that wax is resisting some of that color? So if you wanted to do something a little more crazy and go over the lines, you could do that as well. You do not have to follow the pattern exactly. And you do not have to do different colors either. If you wanted to make a solid blue snowflake or a solid white snowflake, or if you wanted to do yellow or pink, you absolutely could. If you wanted to add more colors, if you wanted this to be a rainbow, or maybe you want it to match your favorite football team. Maybe you like to play sports yourself and you play on a team that has dark blue and yellow, and you wanted to do dark blue and yellow. That's fine. This is your creation. And then the cool part about having that stencil that you can use over and over again, that if you start it and you don't think that it looks right, because that happens sometimes with art as well, you can come back in, start over. Sometimes we all make little mistakes that we don't like. Someone else may love it, but maybe we don't think it's the very best. And it's absolutely fine just to keep going and try again. There's different ways to watercolor. You can do nice long lines if you wanted to. You can mix some colors if you would like to. You also could splatter it in there if you would like to. And the one I'll show you in a little bit, I did some splatters on just to add, it looks like snow if you wanted to do that. If you wanted to take a white crayon and draw in the middle, you could always do that and it would not stick onto it. So that would be really, really fun. Adding a little bit of white into a snowflake. Okay, so I did a little bit of that dark purple and I'm just gonna come in to the middle of my star and I'm just going to draw a little bit of that for now. I'll come back over it with a darker color, but for now I'm going to do it that way. So here is our lighter purple. And we're gonna come back in and we're just gonna mix those together. So as you can see, that dark purple blends a little bit with that light purple and just helps make a little bit more of a design. Back to the dark purple. Perfect. So now we're gonna switch to some blue. So I like to start with the lighter colors and move up. I'm gonna switch to this brush because you can see all the lines on this one. I'm going to use this one because it has the slanted edge. I'm gonna start with the light blue. Get it all mixed up. Getting the colors ready to paint is one of my favorite parts of watercolor. So we're gonna come up here and we're gonna do the exact same thing. And just fill it in. Once again, if you get to a point, maybe you don't like a little bit of mess, and as you're coloring this, you're getting a little bit, you're realizing that some of the spots are a little bit wet, um, and you don't want them to mix, and you need to take a break, that's fine. Feel free to pause the video and take a break wherever you like. I'll always be here when you come back. I really like the way that light blue looks against that purple crayon. almost done with this part. Just a little bit more. Perfect. So we're just going to get a little rinse. We're going to move up to a little bit of a darker color. Mix that one up really good. So my goal is to kind of start with the lighter color and then go down to darker. So as we get into the middle parts of the snowflake, it's just a little bit darker. You can do it like that, or you can go from dark to light. It's all up to you. Need a lot of this color, so we're going to have to mix it back up. This is a really, really pretty blue. And that crayon just kicks it right off. Does not want any part of it. This is where it's getting a little tricky, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it around so I don't get paint all over my hand and smear it to the other edges. It's always good to have an adult with you if you have any questions or anything going on while you're painting. Have them nearby in case anything happens. And we're almost done with that dark blue. This is our last little section. And I'm going to move on to my last color. If you want, you can add in other colors to that star in the middle like I showed you earlier. So if I did want to add a little blue, I could always do that. I just add the tiniest little bit. Come back in with my other brush and just smooth it out. Because why not? Nice mixture of blue and purple. Add some more purple in there. Watch as it goes. Because what it'll do is it will just go to the edges and then that crayon is going to stop it. So for our very last piece, I'm thinking this color right here. This one. But I'm not really sure what the color is going to be because it's so dark on my paint palette. So I'm going to mix it up really good. And I'm going to give a little test. That's nice. It has a tiny bit of green into it. I think that's going to look really pretty. So these are a little bit smaller, so I'm going to move back to my smaller brush because this last piece is just a tiny bit smaller. It might have been easier to start with this bottom piece and work your way up. That would probably have helped with getting paint on your hands, but we're going now. There's no point in going back at this point. But if you need to make a second one, or maybe you thought smarter than me in the very beginning, that is fine. So after this part is done and after everything has been painted, you could always trace back over it with a darker color. On this one, the sample, they did that with black. So they traced back over it. I'm not going to do that today because I really like the way that the blue and purple looked. But if you wanted more pronounced lines after the paint has dried, you can do that. We're almost done. So now we have a full snowflake. I really like this last blue. Since it has a tiny touch of green, I'm just going to come into the very tips of this light blue, and I'm just going to give the tiniest little bit just to add. Just like we said, you don't always have to follow things perfectly, and things do not always have to be the same. Now that that's done, I can move my watercolors over to the side, and we have our finished watercolor snowflake. So as you can see, it is still wet and it is still drying. So this would normally be the point that we would cut it out. Because this one is still a little wet, I am gonna let it dry, but I do wanna show you a little bit of the cutting out process. So I'm gonna show you the one we talked about earlier. This is one I did yesterday. So this is the one I was talking about that I used the fiery colors because why not? I also added some splatters to the side, but this one you would go ahead and cut out. So the kids' safety scissors are the best. If you wanted to have an adult help you at this point to cut out, I always recommend that because scissors. So the paper is nice and thick. You can go ahead and work on cutting it out or have that adult help you. Now that you are almost finished with your project, we want to make sure that you know that you can share it with us. So don't forget that any of the social medias you can share with Make It with Michael's or Michael's classes. You can tag Winter Workshop, all kinds of things. And then all of your other friends at Michael's or anybody else that is making these projects can go in and see your creations. We definitely want to see it. We definitely want to know what you have made. So after the snowflake is completely cut out, you have the option of putting a hole into it and hanging it up. I did not bring that string or a hole punch with me today. So it is not necessary. It is something that you definitely do not have to do. But if you would like to do that, you absolutely can. So that shows you a little bit of cutting out your snowflake. I am going to take it back over to the original one that we just painted. And you can see how beautifully that is drying. And I'm going to show you this one over here, and you can see we have the hole punch, and then we have the string. This is just a small piece of yarn that was tied into a nice little loop. So then you can hang it on your tree. You can always put these into your windows. You can do all kinds of different things with these. You can make a ton of them and hang them all over your house. So there is our snowflakes for today. I am just so thankful that you joined us today, and I hope that you are going to be joining us again for any of the other winter workshop programs that we have going on. We have some really great ones, including some with clay, some that you make a great picture frame, all kinds of different things. So we hope to see you again. But for now, we will say happy holidays and happy making.